Welcome back to another part, and we've placed our columns in place. So the next thing remaining is the beams. How do you place the beams? And since on the last part we had configured all the requirements for our beams, we'll go straight away and start placing the beams. So under model here, we'll come to beams here and click on the beams. So once you click on the beams, this will activate this properties parameter dialog box. So under element parameters here, I'll just scroll down to beams. So whenever we see the beams, we'll stop right there. So let me just scroll up, and I want the sections here under elements. So under sections here, I'll click on that drop down arrow, and I want to define a new one. So the breadth is, we'll keep it at 200, and the depth here will give it 300 or 350 right there. 350 will be okay, and click OK. So the moment I click on that, I'll come here and click save, and this one will be B1. So if I click OK, I'll be able to save that as a B1. So if I click on this drop down arrow here, I'll be able to see I have a B1 here. So if I select on the B1, it will be active, and I'll be able to now just highlight like that and be able to create a beam. So if I highlight all the way to this end, I'll create a beam, and it has been terminated on that spot. So I can come here and double click on that far end and create another beam. So let me just highlight everything here, create a beam. So if it's get terminated somewhere here, just come here and start from that spot and double click on the final end to terminate or to create a beam. So the same here, I'll highlight all the way to that far end to create a beam. Then here also, I can select everything to create a beam right there. So I'll do the same thing here, I'll do the same thing there, and then do the same thing here. So we've created a beam. So the one thing that we might have made a mistake, if we change back to 3D, you can see our beam is somewhere else. You can see that. So if we try to turn this around like this, you can see we have the beam not properly done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to levels and bring it somehow down at the bottom end here. So what do? We come back to 3D level, and we'll bring a column here. Let me just press Ctrl Z so that we have this sorted right away. So I'll come to columns here. First of all, let me click on the columns and come under columns here, and I want to pick the C1. So this was C1, so I'll place my C1 right there. So once I've placed my C1 here, I'm going to get rid of all these beams here. Let me just get rid of all those beams. So once I've gotten rid of these beams here, I'll be able to now start from the right level. So prior to placing the beams, first of all, check what level are you. I'll come to levels here, and I want to start placing my beams from the plinth level. So if I select on that, if I double click on that, I'll be able to see this level here. So if I come back to 3D here, I'll be able to see I have my columns right there. So if I come back to that level and come to beams here and click on the beams, I'll be able to select all the way those columns, and I'll be able to select all these to create the beams. I'll come this side and select the beam here and highlight everything to this far end to create a beam. And the same here, I'll select that to create a beam and select everything here to create a beam. And I'll do the same thing here to create beams as required. So we have the beams in place and columns. So if I switch back to 3D, I'll be able to see I have these in place. So you can see how we have corrected the mistake that we did. First of all, if you want to place the beams, first of all, check what level. We come to level here and pick and double click on the level of your preference, and that's how it works. So what I'm going to do, I'm going now to copy this to a different level. To copy the same beams to the next level. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to construction levels here. If I click on construction levels, I want to copy these beams to this 3.2 level height. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click, I'm going to come under sources here and click on that drop down arrow, and I want to copy these beams as base. let me just check that. I want to copy this up as B1. So if I come here and select B1 here and click OK, I'll be able to have the beams copied up here. So that's how you copy that, and that's how you approach it on that way. So if I come back to construction level here, I'll take this back to unique, so that if whenever I make changes here, it will not affect the bottom end here at 0, level or at plinth level. So you copy source as the below uh, uh, beams, then take it back to unique, so that whenever you make changes, it will not affect other sections. So just go ahead and click OK. Just close that. Once I click OK, so that's how you work around with that. And let's meet then on the next presentation.